Hey, my name's Ian Begley. You're watching the NBA Exchange with Dexter Henry.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the NBA Exchange. I know it's been a while. We had a bit of a break, had a lot of stuff going on in life, did a little bit of traveling, a lot of work, different situations that I had to be at that took us away from doing the show. But we are back at the end of January. We're still going to be rocking on. The NBA season is rolling. It's going to be a very interesting next 30 days or so. Actually, it's really interesting next 10, 11 days or so, because the NBA trade deadline is approaching. So we're going to look at a lot of teams, talk about a lot of teams and different teams and what they may or may not do as we head up to the trade deadline. Today's show, we're going to look a little bit about the New York area teams. We're going to talk about the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets, two teams that are both in the top 7 in the Eastern Conference standings right now. Nets playing without KD. Knicks have had a roller coaster season. We'll see what both of them could do. So, a guy who I hopped on his podcast, the Nothing But That Sports Talk podcast. I hopped on his show maybe a little bit over a month ago. This is in early December, first time. We connected through the homie Renee Washington. He is the host of that show. He's great. He's a fellow New Yorker, fellow Brooklynite, fellow Caribbean brother. And he told me he wanted to come on here to talk some New York basketball. So I said, look, man, we got to make this happen. We had some scheduling conflicts, but we made it happen. It's my guy, Rafique Louison. Rafique, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the intro, Dexter.
Oh, come on, Rafique. Got to give you a good intro. You can't just come up on here and not have a good intro. We can't do that at all.
Man.
Yeah, man. And I got to say, I see you out here rocking the throwback Melo jersey. I assume that's Carmelo. Okay, that is Carmelo Anthony. Rafique is showing.
Yeah, come on, man.
that is Rafique. Before we get into talking about the Knicks and Nets, I always like to every journalist that comes on the show, I like them to let the people know a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you've been doing, how the people can see your work. So the floor is yours, Rafique. Tell the people about your journey, your career, and what it is that you're doing.
Well, I didn't exactly do journalism since I was 12 or 11 years old, but what I can tell you is I got involved with some theater acting when I was a teenager. I played some piano. After graduating, I went to high school at Canarsie Educational Campus. After that, I managed to do some plumbing, construction certificates, and I started going to school in 2015. And I went. In that time, I went to LIU Brooklyn. That's when my journalism career actually got started, or in this case, my journey towards a journalism career got started. I've done a lot of writing for the Siwanaka newspaper. I was a program director for their TV station. And then after that, I graduated in 2018 and went for a one-year master's program, which is a public media program at Fordham University. And a lot of people that study journalism, they know some of the broadcasters that came out of here. Mike Breen, Ryan Rucco, the great Vince Scully, just may God rest his soul. Just to name a few broadcasters that came out of Fordham University. I did a lot of news reporting for the WFTV radio station. So and I even did a documentary about it. I was also an intern at Bronx Net where I done some studio work. I even helped out with the Bronx Net and WFTV Sports collaboration show called The Gately Show, where I did some production work. So that's pretty much it. And Nothing But That Sports Talk. It actually started as Nothing But That B-Ball Talk, where it's originally a basketball show anyway. But I wanted to expand on talking about sports other than just basketball. So that's why I renamed it Nothing But That Sports Talk. And I didn't want it to just be a podcast where I'm just doing sit-down interviews. I wanted to get accustomed to covering sports for something I created personally. I've done some virtual coverage for WNBA. I even did a Big 3 event. And just literally recently, I covered a Fordham game. And they came from out to defeat George Washington. Shout out to my alumni for that victory, by the way. Very nice. So, that's pretty much it.
All right, Rafique doing great things. Everybody check out Nothing But That Sports Talk show. Really great show. Rafique getting a lot of great guests. He's had some really good guests. Myself's been on there, Renee Washington. Some other people have been on the show. Who else have you had that's been on this show too, right? You've also had Kelsey Nicole Nelson. You've had some great people that have also been on the NBA Exchange. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Love that. Rafique,
I also had Monica McNull on the show as well years ago.
Monica McNull's been on
2K, if you for those of you that are into NBA 2K.
There you go. So he says a lot of great guests for making it happen. Rafique, I got to start with you on the Knicks, okay? And I think this question I'm going to ask you is a question that everybody looking at the Knicks right now, where they are sitting 7th in the Eastern Conference, wants to know. Are the Knicks a playoff team? Not a play-in team, Rafique. Are they a playoff team? What do you think?
Are they a playoff team? Why not? I mean, seriously, they literally picking up wins when it matters the most. I mean, just recently they picked up big wins against the Celtics and the Cavaliers, and then not to mention them, but before that they had an 8-game winning streak. So yeah, they're a playoff team. They just need to learn how to close out games, especially when they're the ones leading by 17 points. And when they do trail by 17 points, they got to close out. We saw the other night against the Brooklyn Nets, which we'll talk to later in the show, that they struggled to finish off comebacks and close out games. They went 0-3 against Milwaukee Bucks. They struggled to beat the Boston Celtics. They've had this struggles against the Brooklyn Nets. They lost 9 straight after that loss last Saturday. But to answer your question, yes, I think the New York Knicks are a playoff team. They're probably not going to go no higher than 5th because you know that Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia are not giving up their top 4 spot.
Yeah, I don't see that either. I think you bring up good points about them, right? Which is that they do struggle a lot with closing games. This is a conversation I had the other day with Lee Escobedo of the Nick of Time show. And, I think a lot of it with it is that they struggle with this. If they get behind, like we saw on Saturday in Brooklyn, okay? They get behind. This is not a dynamic three-point shooting team. This is a team that can play well in the paint and in the mid-range, and they have, but they struggle with that in terms of coming back in games. Are you concerned, Rafique? Because I want to talk about something you said there about them closing out games. Are you concerned about their ability to close out games? And you said you don't see them getting higher than 5th, but do you think that could drop them lower than 7th?
But if they continue to pick up the big wins, they need to pick up. I think they can still be a playoff team. It's just a matter of learning how to close out games. That's the only concern. But if they close out games, I promise you, they're gonna go far in the NBA. But yeah, it all depends how Julius Randle comes. I mean, you see Julius Randle put up some serious 30-point games and 40-point games. You see RJ Barrett can be clutch at times. You see Jalen Brunson be the point guard that all New York Knicks fans expected to be. I mean, seriously, there's a reason why they went up, why the Knicks decided to put together a little Kentucky recruiting style to get them in the offseason. So, yeah.
Yeah, you think that can happen. It can be fine if they close out these games. I happen to agree with you. I think that can happen as well. Now, the Knicks this week, as we're talking right now, they have an interesting schedule coming up, and I want to pull it up right here for the folks. They've got the Lakers on Tuesday, okay? That is going to be a pretty solid test for them, even though LeBron and AD are both resting tonight, Monday, as we are speaking, when it comes to going up against the Nets. They're going to sit their stars out for that game. But these are the next 4 games for the Knicks, all at home, guys. Lakers, Miami Heat, Clippers, Philadelphia 76ers. All right? Rafique, this is a pretty good test for the Knicks here. All right? All home games. We know the Knicks have not played well at home. They've struggled at home. What do you expect from them, and what do you want to see on this upcoming 4-game homestand?
I expect the New York Knicks to put up a strong effort. I mean, when you're looking at the teams that they have to face, I mean, Philadelphia, we know they can. You know that they have a tough time to slow it down to Embiid, especially with no legit center. I mean, Mitchell Robinson's been out for the past few weeks, so all you really have is Jericho Sims and that guy Hartenstein. So if these guys can put together a physical defense effort against Joel Embiid, which you see is tough to stop because he almost had a 50-point game against the Denver Nuggets. So yeah, Joel Embiid is going to be tough for all the Knicks centers they currently have. And then when you look at the Miami Heat, they're going to be fight. They're literally in the fist fight for the 6th seed. That game could determine whether or not the Knicks can finish 6th, or if they will have to start their playoff journey in the play-in tournament by the time we get to the end of the season. And then also you got the games against the Clippers. The Clippers have been average. They should win that one. The Lakers, well, that's assuming LeBron James. Well, you see how good LeBron James could be even when he's 38 years old. So I would not count a win. I can see the Knicks win at least one game in this homestand. Hopefully 2, preferably 3, but I can see him win at least one game in this homestand. They're not beating Philadelphia. They're probably going to beat the Clippers, and they're probably going to beat the Los Angeles Lakers. But the Miami Heat, well, that's going to be tough. They're probably not going to beat that team either. So
yeah. Wow, you're seeing possibly a 1-3 homestand. I do agree with you. The game against the Heat is huge. One thing Knicks fans have to remember is the Knicks have not played the Heat once yet this season. Still got 4 games left of them. You talked about that game, Rafique. all the games they play coming up against the Heat could go very well to determining that 6th spot or where the Knicks land. And you want to win those games head to head. That could be very interesting. All right, trade deadline's coming up for the Knicks, Rafique. Do the Knicks need to make a trade at the deadline? Do they need to make a move? And if they make a move, what kind of player do you think they need to get?
I think the Knicks can. Well, they'll be better if they can make a move, but I don't really think there's need much trade. I mean, they just need to learn how to establish the culture that they have right now. But if I'm gonna make a trade, I would try to get OG Anunoby because I've been seeing social media posts where people say the Knicks are willing to give up draft picks to get a guy like an OG Anunoby, and why not? This guy's a lethal shooter. It's just a matter of what pieces they want to give up. Of course, I would not give up anybody major for OG Anunoby, but if you do get OG Anunoby, my God, will improve the Knicks offense.
Well, that's the thing too, right there, Freak. They need to improve that offense. We talked about their struggles in coming back in games. OG's a good player, good two-way player. He's also a really good defender, so he could fit into what Tom Thibodeau likes to do. So I'm very intrigued to see. I think it comes down to the price, like you said. Will they have to give up 2 first-round picks, which is what is being reported that the Raptors want? Which young player would you have to give up? I would think the Raptors would want either Quickly or Grimes. So it's very interesting in what they would want to do. Okay, from the Knicks, let's go to the Nets. The Nets, I don't know what to say. They've been surviving without KD, right? They've lost 6 out of the 9 games they've played without Kevin Durant. Some games they haven't looked bad. All the games that they've won without Kevin Durant, if you look at it, Kyrie Irving's been balling. He's put up big numbers in all those games. We saw it on Saturday against the Knicks. Do you think the Nets will be okay by the time KD returns to the lineup, Rafique?
I will say this.
Yeah.
The way the Nets have been playing, that 3-5 record, it's supposed to be like the total opposite. I mean, you lost to the Phoenix Suns team that was literally depleted with injuries. You lost to OKC, but then again, OKC is always winning in New York, so that's no surprise. You lost at San Antonio, but then again, the Nets, from a franchise historical perspective, they always lose at San Antonio, so that's no surprise again. But other than that, I think the Nets can survive without Kevin Durant. They just need Kyrie Irving just need to continue to keep playing the way he's been playing lately. And Ben Simmons, when he does come back, he just needs to become more useful on the offensive end because his scoring numbers have not been all that good. He's getting rebounds and assists, but his scoring numbers need to improve.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, Rafique, because we got to talk about Ben Simmons, all right? Mr. Simmons, as you said, has not brought it offensively. When KD first went down with the MCL sprain, all the talk, I know you read this too, Rafique, was, all right, this is the time we can see Ben Simmons stepped up. Let's keep it real. He has not stepped up. He has not brought it offensively. Do you think the Nets can trust him to produce offensively? Because the way I look at it right now is you can't trust that man in terms of on the offensive end. Do you think they could trust him right now?
Well, I think the Nets can still trust him. I mean, you got to keep in mind it is a long season, so there's plenty of time for Ben Simmons to get back to being the Ben Simmons that we've been seeing since from his Philadelphia days. I mean, he's still getting the rebounds, he's still getting still passing it, whether it's down low or in the baseline for open jump shots. Not so the guy can be trusted offensively in a way. Even if he doesn't give you a 10 or 20 point night like he used to, he can still put up good passes and get you offensive rebounds and put back layups. So in a way, I can trust Ben Simmons.
All right, you're giving Ben Simmons the trust. What do you think the Nets should do at the deadline? A lot of talk about if they need more size. Claxton, who's been fantastic this year, is a defensive player of the year candidate. I think a lot of people were watching to see how he would match up against Joel Embiid last week. He held his own pretty well to me. Do you think the Nets need more size? Is there something else you would do in terms of the trade deadline if you were Sean Marks and would have had the chance to make some deals for the Nets? What would you do?
I would try to see if I could get like a backup center because, as you can tell, yes, Nicholas Cousins put in serious work, but you can tell they do need a backup center. I'm looking for somewhere along like Serge Ibaka, or I could potentially make a trade for or Hartenstein for the New York Knicks. I mean, even he's proven to be useful for the New York Knicks. Why not be useful for the Brooklyn Nets? So those are names I'm considering for the Brooklyn Nets if they're going to make a trade in the upcoming trade deadline. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say.
All right, backup center is where you're looking at in terms of the Nets and what they can do with the deadline. Last thing, Rafique, before we let you go. You look at the Knicks and the Nets, obviously expectations were different for them heading into this season. The Nets, because of the 2 stars they have, always are going to have championship aspirations. I think for the Knicks, a lot of it was about could they return to the playoffs. What do you think these teams can accomplish this season? What do you think the Knicks can do? What do you think the Nets can do by the time this is all said and done in 2023?
I think that the New York Knicks can at least get into the top 4 or stay within the top 4 and get out of the first round. Get out of the first round. That's what I can accomplish. Or if I'm being realistic, they can even go as far as the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, with healthy, the Brooklyn Nets, they're not going to get denied for the Eastern Conference Finals, unlike they did a few years ago against Milwaukee Bucks. As far as the Knicks is concerned, keep in mind they missed the playoffs only once in the last few years, and they acted like they treated the Knicks like the team that made it once in the last 8 years. Instead of looking at the fact that, remember, it's only been 2 years since the New York Knicks have been in the playoffs. They regress a lot. And this time around, they're battling to get into the top 6, and I'm still seeing Knicks get into the top 6 as I mentioned earlier. So I think the Knicks can accomplish being a top 6 or top 5 team and actually shock the world by getting out of the first round as well.
Oh wow, got the Knicks. You see, the Knicks. I like the Knicks for the top 6. Can they get out the first round? I think it depends on the matchup. But you know what I'd love to see, Rafique? You know what would be great for all of us? A Knicks-Nets first-round series. That's what New York needs.
I know. You said that a few weeks ago, but it's not going to be a 1-8 seed. If that happens, it'll probably be a 3-6 matchup or a 4-5 matchup, depending on the flow of the season for the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks. But it all boils down to how consistent the Knicks can be in close games. We don't need to worry about Brooklyn. When Kevin Durant comes back, they're going to stay in the top 4 or even get into the top 2. The New York Knicks, they're more healthy, but they just need to keep the consistency together as far as closing out games. And when they do have these major deficits that they've had, they need to come back and actually close out the comebacks.
Yeah, that's what the Knicks need to do. And we will see how the Nets are when KD returns. Can the Knicks close out games? What will both of these teams do by the trade deadline? It's going to be all interesting to see. That is Rafique Louison. Check out his work. Nothing But That Sports Talk podcast. Follow Rafique. Tell the people, actually, I'll let you do it. You tell the people where to follow you, find you, check out all your work. You tell the people that. What can they do?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's Rafique_LouisBK. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Rafique419. You can also check out my stuff on YouTube. Nothing But That Sports Talk by Rafique Louison. That's you can find the show.
Check it out. Rafique is plugged into New York sports, New York basketball. He's got you covering it. Rafique, good to see you, man. We will connect again. I'm glad we got to do this. Be well, and we will talk soon.
No problem.
All right. Like I said, that is Rafique Louison. Check him out. Nothing But That Sports Talk. We are going to take a very quick break. When we come back, I'm going to give you my best bets for Monday night NBA action. I will do that for you when we come back on the NBA Exchange.
Are you looking for a better way to play player props or daily fantasy sports? Well, look no further than Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the leading over-under daily fantasy game. Why? Because it's so easy to use and win. You can make your picks in under 30 seconds and win up to 10 times your money in one day. Right now, we have a special offer for our viewers and listeners of the NBA Exchange. All you got to do is sign up now and use the promo code NBAEX. Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Yep, that's right. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. So, join the over 150,000 others who found a better way to play and download the Prize Picks app today.
All right, welcome back to the NBA Exchange. Thanks to our guest, Rafique Louison, for joining us here. We appreciate that. Oh, if y'all are watching, if you're listening, this will not matter to you, but maybe some of you have seen, did a little bit of changes in the background, got the new NBA Jam poster. For those who don't know, I'm a huge NBA Jam fan. If you watch the show, you can tell I got the NBA Jam shirt on. You can see the NBA Jam sign and the poster in the back that I got framed a couple of weeks ago. It's maybe just right into the new year. I can't remember if it was into the new year. It was right before the new year. I had been thinking about NBA Jam for a while and the need to play it again. And I still have access to old Super Nintendo that I found in my parents' house. And there's a video game store here in Brooklyn, retro video game store that my sister-in-law put me onto. And I went there, and they had one copy left of NBA Jam Tournament Edition. I grabbed it. I've been playing it for a little bit. It's been good. I got one of these posters I found and got it framed, one of the old school arcade promotional posters from there. I'm going to put this in existence. I'm hoping to do some stuff with some people on NBA Jam, the history of it, There's a guy, Rayan Ali, who I actually have spoken to. We were supposed to connect last year for him to come on and talk about. He wrote a great book on NBA Jam. And then the other night I saw Tim Kistro, who did the voice. He's on fire and all that for NBA Jam. We connected on social media and hoping to get him on the show at some point. So I think that'll be good for the NBA Jam fans out there. I know there's others of you out there like myself that love the game. And we need a new updated version of NBA Jam. I'm hoping that can happen. That's something I've been really, really, really hoping for. But time to talk about these bets. As I said, we haven't been in a couple of weeks, but always keep my eye on the NBA. What's going around, what's going on with the betting action. I've got 3 games to talk about tonight. One involves a team we just talked about with Rafique, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. They are hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. The Nets, they are 9-point favorites. Now, if you're wondering why the line is this Brooklyn favorite so much, obviously Brooklyn has no KD. You need to look no further than the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers are resting their 2 stars. That would be LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So without both of them, the Nets are expected to play Kyrie Irving. It's a 9-point spread here. This is still a little high for me. I'm not sure I necessarily trust the Nets to cover by 9, and I don't here. I would not say I trust necessarily the Lakers to win either, right? Plus 320 on the money line for the Lakers. I think the play for me here on this one would be the over-under. Now, neither of these teams are great defensively, but I don't think they're going to go over 230 points here. If I had to make a best bet on this game, I would go with the under the 230 here at Brooklyn. I just don't see a lot of offense for either the Nets or the Lakers in this game. Now, you can say you might not see a lot of defense, but I could see some struggle basketball for stretches in this one. So give me under the 230. That would be my best bet. The Nets should win this game. If you can get an alternate spread, maybe down to a -6, you're going to have some more juice on that there. I would look at that. But in terms of covering a -9, that's a little too rich for my blood for a team that we saw almost blow it to the Knicks the other night. I just don't see that. I could be wrong here, but I think your best bet here is going under the 230 under the 230 points for Lakers versus Brooklyn. And that's what we'll go there. My second game of the night, the Orlando Magic, they are in the city of brotherly love. They're visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. This is exactly the same spread, same money line for the underdog. So Sixers favored by 9 here, plus 320 for the Magic. Over under here also set at 230. Now, here's why this game is interesting to me, okay? We got the Sixers, who are coming off of a fantastic win on Saturday against the Denver Nuggets. It was Jokic versus Embiid. Embiid clearly took this personally. He's come up runner-ups 2 years in a row for MVP, and he balled out. What do you have? Like 48, 17, and 5. Balled out, and I think that Joel Embiid understands that he needs to make a statement, and I think he's seriously going for the MVP very seriously this year. Not that he wasn't serious before, but he's real serious about it. He wants to let people know he's the best big man in the league. We also cannot forget he is leading the NBA in scoring with over 33 points per game. One of the best performances by a big man we've seen in terms of just scoring in a long time. But you see, I always wonder in a situation like this where you had such an emotional high and such a great win for the Philadelphia 76ers here, and you're playing a Magic team that has been scrappy all year. Everybody knows that. Check this out. As a road dog this season, they're 12-8-3 against the spread, okay? And they're 8-6-1 as a double-digit dog. Now, they're not a double-digit dog here, but you need 10 or more from the Sixers to beat them by to cover here. So I don't like that. Now, the Sixers, they have been good against bad teams, but Orlando does play a little scrappy. I don't really like this line for the Sixers with -9, the spread for them to cover. I actually am going to take the Magic here in the points. I like the Magic in the points here at +9. I do not like them for the money line at plus 320. I don't believe in the Magic that much, but I like them to keep it close. I can see the Sixers having a letdown here. Give me the Magic and the points on the road in the city of brotherly love. Plus, you know what? The city of brotherly love, they're riding a little bit too high, with all the fly eagles flying stuff. We got to bring them down to earth just a little bit. And I think that comes down to earth a little bit here with the Magic playing a competitive game and not getting blown out by double digits in this one. And my last game of the night, we got Sacramento Kings versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. This game is basically almost a pick 'em. Sacramento, they are 1-point favorites. Timberwolves plus 100 on that money line. If you like them, over under here is 238. Now, we have not spoken a lot about the Sacramento Kings this year on this podcast. And I think we will later in this week with Gerard. We'll also be talking some LA basketball later in this week on Friday with a special guest that we will have. But look, what the Kings have done, what Mike Brown has done, has been, I don't want to call it amazing, but it really shows you what good could be done when somebody comes in. There's an adult in the room, somebody that can set the tone and culture, almost like what Tom Thibodeau did with the Knicks a couple of years ago. The Kings are 27-21. I wasn't buying a lot of stock in them making the playoffs. I thought they would be improved. I did not believe in them hitting their over and their over-under. It looks like they're going to do that. I think it was around 35 or 36. They are third in the Western Conference, guys. I know they've lost 2 in a row. And this is why I like the Kings in this game. 1-point favorite. I would get on that. You're going to get, decent odds, -110 or whatever is what I'm seeing around there. 1-point favorite here. What Mike Brown has instilled in his team, from what I say, is like, we're confident. We believe we can win. We believe we can be in every game. Let's stop the bleeding. They're on a 2-game streak. Winnable game in Minnesota. Minnesota's a team that still doesn't have it all together, waiting for Karl-Anthony Towns to come back. They have played better basketball of late. I do want to say they have won 3 in a row. I know you're saying, Dex, they've won 3 in a row. They're now back up to 5th in the Western Conference, because that's how jumbled everything is in the Western Conference. All you need is a couple games. You can move here and there. But I think the Kings, they're going to go in knowing this is a big game. This is one they could get. They need to stop the bleeding. I think this is one they're going to want to get, and it's a very winnable game. So give me the Kings here. I like the Kings just because I think they're going to bounce back. They know they can't turn this into long losing streaks. I think they're very focused on making the playoffs. This is a winnable game for them, a team that actually, when you think about it, is only 2 games behind them, which again shows you how jumbled the Western Conference is. The Timberwolves, despite all their struggles this season, no Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert not fitting, all that, they're only 2 games behind the Kings. So they're looking at this as a big game. But I like the Kings to show some fortitude here on the road. Give me the Kings to cover that 1-point spread. I think it's too good there. If you're looking at any props tonight, there's a couple of props I'm going to tell people to look at. And one I would say is look at Steph Curry. The Warriors are playing. I'm forgetting who the Warriors matchup is tonight. The Warriors, they are playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which should be an interesting matchup. It's only a 5-point spread where the Warriors are favored here. But Steph Curry, who's also done a good job sneakily. I like the sneaky value prop sometimes with stars and role players. But Steph Curry grabbed some rebounds. His line is set at 5.5. I would definitely look at the play on that. I think that's a really good play for anybody looking at there. Also, look at Kyrie have a big night. Anything with him over 27, 28 points a game, I take the over in that. I think Kyrie's on a roll. He'll look at this Laker game with the Nets as a game that they should win. Nick Claxton to get a double-double. What good value can you have on that as well, too? That's something I'd look at in that Nets game. Anything with Joe Harris or Seth Curry. The shooters on the Nets have been shooting really well. Keep your eyes on them. Royce O'Neal's another person I want to add there. Royce O'Neal, over 1.5 threes. Get good value there, too. Check that out as well. So some good player props that you can find around tonight. I think it should be pretty interesting. More to talk about this week in the NBA. All right, so Wednesday, unclear exactly what the schedule will be. We will at least have something for you with my man Gerard Hector that we'll be doing. Don't know if it'll be in the morning or it'll be in the evening, but we will let you guys know what's going on with that on Wednesday. We will do that on Friday. We're going to talk about some LA hoops, the Clippers and the Lakers. We're going to dive into that and what those teams, sort of like what we did with Rafique today with the New York teams, what can those teams do as we approach the trade deadline? Also should have some stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Boston Celtics, we're going to have a whole trade preview next Wednesday, looking into it. A lot of stuff going down on the NBA Exchange. Good to be back at the end of the month. A lot to talk about in February. Black History Month is here. We'll see what's going on with that and how we can weave in some history into the show. But looking forward to that. Let me know what you think. Give me your comments. What other teams should we talk about? There's a lot of teams we still have yet to touch on and really dive into this season. But I think there's some really good ones that we can do over the next couple of weeks. So enjoy the basketball tonight. Enjoy the basketball all week. And until next time, y'all. Peace.